Welcome to my Unkillable Whirlwind guide. Here we'll use Daria to show off how unkillable this build really is. Oops, let's try that again. There we go. Now we can try out this invincibility. These one-shot mechanics that Blizzard includes in these fights are so frustrating. Why are they always killing me? I'm just kidding. But as you can see, this build is nearly unkillable in most situations. If I stood there long enough without attacking or doing anything else, it could eventually bring my health down to 0. In fights like T4 Lilith, if you let yourself be hit enough by the stacking waves over and over again, eventually they will one-shot you. Now let's take a look at how long it takes to kill Torment for Belial using this build. As you can see, you can ignore all of his mechanics and just take all the damage straight to your face and kill him. Now I'll let you watch a full pit tier 95 run that I did up with this build, so you can see that it can clear the whole pit. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can just skip to the end, but I included the whole thing just so that you guys can see that it can do it, no problem. And you'll see that my gear is not all that optimized at the end. You'll see when Gore's procs 100 billion hits here and there, all the way up to I think 149 billion is the highest you're going to see in this run. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking now and just let you guys watch the rest of this Pit 95 run.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm
about 3 minutes left on the timer. And as you saw, we were able to just ignore all of his attacks and just plow right through and kill him. First, I'll let you take a peek at the gear I was actually using to do that run. And as you can see, that almost all my gear has no more than a double crit on it, and some of them don't even have the GAs in the right spots to provide optimal damage, much less have 2 GAs on any of my gears, except for I think one ring has 2 GA on it. Alright, now it's time to look at the planner. Start with our gear. So Harlequin Crest is important for this build because we are not using Martial Glyph or Ground Stomp or any other way to reduce the cooldown of our Wrath of the Berserker. So we need to get its cooldown to the 10-second timer that its uptime is. And the only way to do that is with adding ranks to Wrath of the Berserker. So Harlequin Crest adds 4 ranks, as well as Vehement Brawlers adds 2 more ranks. Those 6 ranks are crucial for getting it down to exactly 10 seconds once you add in the 75% cooldown reduction. Harlequin Crest's cooldown reduction also helps reduce the cooldown of our Iron Skin, so that is always up as well. You can additionally add Iron Skin cooldown here on the amulet if you have plenty from your Ugly Bastard helm and your ring, but if you have a fully maxed out Harlequin Crest as well as Crown of Lucian, you won't need to do that. So Harlequin Crest, that's why we pick it instead of something with more damage, and plus the 20% damage reduction kind of fits our theme of being unkillable. Ugly Bastard, lots of extra damage. We're always Wrath of Berserkering, so it's always up, so we're always getting that extra damage. And the aggressive resistance and prolific fury don't hurt either. Crown of Lucian, we want the cooldown reduction and the damage. It's one of the best damage increasers of all of our items, so it's super useful. Battle Trance, 20% chance to gain Stacks Frenzy on hit, so we're stacking it up that way. We don't actually need Frenzy on the bar. I tried with Frenzy out and without Frenzy. It doesn't matter. You're getting those stacks either way. So that will increase our attack speed as well as give us a 72% increased damage. And you want to have your GA on Strength. I had mine on max Frenzy ranks, which is useless for this build. So GA on Strength is your number one, and plus the 30 resistance to all resist doesn't hurt at all either. And then Gore's Devastating Grip, the 700 damage explosion is what you see when you see those 100 billion hits that we're doing, and you want ranks to Whirlwind on this one. Aspect of Earthquakes, you want it for that increased damage after standing in earthquakes, 120% when it's doubled on the weapon, and you want chance of Whirlwind to deal double damage, and then Wrath of Berserker for our just pure damage output temper, because it's the highest one, and since we have permanent Wrath of Berserker going, it's going to provide the most damage. For our weapons, we're going to use Conceited Aspect, because we always have our barrier up with Iron Skin, so 100% barrier uptime. You want GA on Strength, and you want Wallop to be your temper. That's going to, we're going to use the two-handed mace for this build so we can benefit from Wallop, and since it's a 5% stack with each point of Wallop, having 12 stacks of Wallop really helps our damage. We always mentioned Vehement Brawlers, why we're using that. You know, we want the uptime, and then we need that as 2 additional skill points to keep Wrath of Berserker constantly up. Wallop again, Strength again, Ring of Starless Skies. It's just the most damage you can put in this slot. Core skills really help. That adds damage to our build. You don't really need the critical strike, but the attack speed is nice. Dust Devil. This is just for the 25% damage increase. It's the best thing we can do since we are limited to only 40% of our Fury. If we could get up to 100% Fury, there'd be much better things to put in this slot. But because we can only use 40%, this is the best we got. We don't really care about the damage the Dust Devil does. We just want that 25% increased damage after it hits something. And then aspect of the Dire Whirlwind, since we can infinitely whirlwind and none of our abilities, neither Wrath of Berserker or Iron Skin, breaks our whirlwind, we're going to have 100% uptime with this, and this is going to give us 75% critical strike chance and 75% critical strike damage multiplicative. And I skipped over the Grandfather. Using the Grandfather because it's the best damage increase. It's the equal damage increase to the Dire Whirlwind aspect, but obviously can't get that same kind of damage on an amulet, so we want to have the Dire Whirlwind on the amulet and the Grandfather in our two-hand slashing slot. Ruins, Bach, and Quacks, and then Pock and Tech. Tech is there just to keep our earthquakes under our feet so that we get that plus 120% damage for 5 seconds, or 4 seconds. For our Chaos perks, a Beast Corner, this gives you 10% life. For every 10% life you are missing, you gain 20% increased damage and 5% damage reduction. So that means we are getting 100% more damage and 25% damage reduction. So you get hurt equal to the resource spend, but it's such a tiny amount of damage, it doesn't matter. Raging Chaos keeps us berserking all the time. Turns our core skills to fire, which help with the Ugly Bastard Helm. And additional Chaotic Burst for fire damage. Just a little bit of extra damage thrown in there. Deafening Chorus, this is what's going to really set the build off and make you invincible by having all of your shouts constantly up and doing 50% increased effect. So once you have everything going, just your challenging shout on its own is going to be providing you with 72% damage reduction, which is crazy. And once you have this up, you're going to have infinite fury, you're going to have crazy damage reduction, and boosted damage. So this is just really what the build really hinges on, making it such a smooth and easy build to play. And then Marred Guard, this is key because it reduces your life to 50% and keeps you there, giving a beast cornered. It's 100% damage and 25% damage reduction, and it allows you to constantly use Iron Skin. Iron Skin can't be used when you're full health, so since you're never at full health, you can constantly spam Iron Skin as much as you want. And plus it helps you out, getting more to maximum resist and easier to fill out your armor, and doubling your barrier from Iron Skin. So you're going from having a 100% barrier to a 200% barrier just by using this. Regular gems, we're going with crit strike in the weapons, rubies in the armor, and diamonds in the jewelry. With the armor from Harlequin's Quest, you need no additional armor skulls or anything like that. Now, skills on our bar are going to be Whirlwind, Wrath of the Berserker, Iron Skin, War Cry, Rallying Cry, Challenging Shout, and we're going to have Two-Handed Axe Expertise. Let's jump into the skill tree. Here we have Frenzy, 1 point into Frenzy, 1 Enhanced Frenzy, and 1 to Combat Frenzy, increasing our attack speed and damage reduction, movement speed and damage reduction both by 25%. Once we're full stacks, which you get really quickly with Whirlwind hitting multiple enemies at the same time. Let me boost this up so you guys can see it a little better. Whirlwind, 5 out of 5. Once we're fully going, we do not need to even take Fury from hit on Whirlwind. We just have so much Fury, it doesn't matter. Even though we have Crown of Lucian stealing our Fury, and we have Unbridled Rage adding extra Fury cost, it doesn't matter. We just have so much Fury, and with a Ring of Starless Skies and other things reducing fury cost, it's almost non-existent need for any kind of additional fury. But while leveling up, you will want to get this, and you'll want to get the bleed damage. But since we're using a bludgeoning weapon, we can't benefit from this. So we benefit way more from wallop. So we're just using this with our two-hander. Moving down, you get your standard survivability abilities. 5 out of 5 rallying cry. This is going to give you crazy resource gen. It's going to provide you 25 resource every single time. And then it's going to be multiplied by the regeneration. Unstoppable while active. And yeah, here's where you get that 20 fury every time. And that's going to be multiplied by this, which is going to be at like 60% additional fury generation. So plus whatever we're getting here from prolific fury as well. So you're just being dumped a bunch of fury on you all the time. Iron Skin, 4 out of 5. They get enhanced Iron Skin and tactical Iron Skin. We get Outburst and Tough as Nails just to get that bleed, since we're not providing bleeds any other way. Challenging Shout and enhanced Challenging Shout. Challenging Shout, I only put 1 point in. We're going to get another 4 from Harlequin's Quest, which will give us 72% damage reduction. If you dumped another 4 in here, I mean, I think you'd get up to nearly 80, which is crazy, but we don't even need it. As you see, we already got tons of damage reduction. Warcry, 5 out of 5, just maximizing the damage we're doing, over 30%, maybe almost 40% once you count in Harlequin Quest boost. Enhanced Warcry and Power Warcry. Raid Leader, since all 3 of your shouts are going off constantly, you're just healing yourself a crazy amount with this. It's really surprising how much, and it'll just keep you from dying. Damage reduction while berserking. More fury generation while berserking, which you're always berserking because of the chaos perk. Slaying Strikes, Pit Fighter for the damage, and Pit Fire even more resist. And 1 to Thick Skin, counter offensive. And then we want Heavy Handed and Wallop. And we're going to be stacking lots of points into Wallop. We're getting Wrath of the Berserker, 5 out of 5. And then Prime and Supreme Wrath of the Berserker. And then we're going to be picking Unbridled Rage because it gives us the most additional damage. Especially when bosses are low, you get that doubled. It's really good. Okay, we will look at the Paragon board. Zoom in, starter board, we just have Challenger, extra damage, boost to your stats. Next, I have Might, Blood Rage board, 45% multiplicative, very nice. We're berserking, so we get it all the time. We're going with Might, 2-handed damage increased. Since we're using a 2-handed hammer, it's perfect. Crusher's no good because it's only giving you a boost to overpower, and sadly, Whirlwind cannot. Next, we have Carnage. Berserking, 50% attack speed, decent. We still need a little bit of attack speed. And you deal 30% increased fire and physical damage. All of our damage is fire and physical, so I don't know if this is like double dipping or not or anything like that, but it's giving us 30% increased damage, which is nice. Then we have Exploit to make sure everybody's vulnerable on the very first hit. And then we have next we have Flawless Technique and Revenge. So Flawless Technique, again, 30% critical strike damage. We're always critting, and that's our main source of damage. And then Revenge, dealing Thorns damage. We got those 2 Thorns ticks to take advantage of this, and that's a 15% additional damage increase. And then final board is Weapon Master. Another 30% damage to injured and healthy enemies. Doesn't matter if you swap weapons or not, you still get that damage. And finally, Wrath for our Regardless, increasing our critical strike even further. And crit strikes generate fury. Not really necessary, but the critical strike damage added is very nice. And that brings us to... I already talked about chaos perks. I think that's everything. So this build, virtually unkillable, fast moving, easy to play. You don't even really need to use Wrath of Berserker and Iron Skin if you want to just really be lazy. You can just hold down Whirlwind and just fly through the map once it's built out. But if you're all about pitch pushing, this build's probably going to top out around 110-ish with perfect gear. Maybe that'll change. Maybe I'll discover some new things as I play with it. But I think this build's going to be extremely friendly and easy and fun to play. I know I enjoyed playing it. I love just plowing through all the one-shot mechanics and just not even caring. And it makes you feel comfortable pushing the pit because you don't have to worry about dying or anything like that. You just give it a go. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the game.